So you can see my setup on the floor. I folded a blanket here for just to make it comfortable for my knees and because we're going to use it for the next pose. I folded a blanket here for my forehead. And I just took this blanket as it's normally folded, grabbed it about a third of the way down, and folded it over. Now, if you're a little less flexible in your armpit and it's all you can do to get your forehead to the bolster, you might want to put this blanket on the bolster, or if that's too high, unfold it. And if all of that is, I think you all can do that. But if that were to be too much, you could always use the chair, okay? All right, are we ready? Just about. And so if you set up this way and you find that your forehead doesn't go down and rest on this blanket, then just move, move it and pull your bolster a little forward toward yourself and you can rest your head on your arms, okay? So this is all adjustable. And one thing about these Zoom classes, which is its good bad points, as we all know, is I can't be there to see all of you, and all of you are not always able to adjust your video, your camera, so I can see you. And so you're all gonna be more responsible for figuring stuff out for yourself, And that's really good for you, especially there's a number of you that have studied for a really long time and practiced with me and everything. And it's time for you to start remembering all these things. And we never will if somebody will do it for us. That's just a humanish thing. All right, so you're sitting back on your heels and your knees are apart. Before you start, let's just sit up really tall. See, I thought I was sitting tall until I did. So sit up really tall. You want to take your glasses off. And just bring your shoulders back. Make your pelvis perfect. So engage your abdomen a little bit so that your pelvis is perpendicular. Lift up in your trunk. Shoulders are back, head back. Just take a minute for that. If sitting on your heels is awful for you, grab this blanket and put it right up in between the calves and the thighs. We won't be here long, but sit up tall. And just take some nice, steady breaths. So you'll notice in the last few classes, I've really focused a lot on restorative and on breathing. And we're going to continue that today. I'm going to try to kick it up a little bit for the next couple of classes because we don't all relax the same way, or we don't always need the same thing to relax. It just really depends on the circumstance and the person. And some good strong work is another good way to get our attention. All right, so press down like you were going to lift up, but don't lose your contact. Just make it lighter. Extend yourself up. Extend yourself forward. So really leave your hands back here for a moment. This will force you to use these muscles to support your trunk. At some point, you're going to have to bring your hands forward. And you can keep your palms facing and begin to slide your arms forward and take your time. Keep your hips on your heels. If you can't keep your hips on your heels, raise your bolster. So keep going, keep extending, let yourself ease into this so that you can draw the hip crease back, which will help keep your hips down. And then I'm going to give myself a little more room here. You can adjust your setup to suit your needs. At some point now, we're going to bring our forehead down. You can rest on the bolster, on this folded blanket. When you're resting your forehead, be sure that the skin of your forehead is moving toward your nose rather than toward the top of your head. Extend your sit bones back to your heels. You might need to move your shoulders around a little bit if they're tight. But your final action there will be to bring your outer armpits down. Extend your arms. Extend your sit bones down to your heels. Engage your lower abdomen so that your lumbar doesn't just sink. So this is a restorative but not passive pose. In this pose, focus your breath into your back ribs. Take some breaths where you can feel the back, spine, and the ribs. Feel a pressure of your breath. As you inhale, you'll feel that pressure build up. As you exhale, really release it. Not your whole body, just the pressure on the spine and the ribs. All those actions that we put in before, we maintain. The lift of the abdomen, the armpits, outer armpits rolling toward the floor. Release the tension in your back and shoulders. You could also focus your breath a little more in the shoulders. And as you exhale, release the shoulders down. As you inhale, feel an extension, an expansion in that area. All right, let's walk our hands back. Come up to sitting. If you're uncomfortable on sitting on your heels, you can come off of that. We're going to take away these front supports for now. All right, and we're going to lay on the stomach. And you can lay so that your pelvis, am I still being seen? Where am I? Yes, there I am. So that your pelvis is on this blanket. It's just for comfort. It's fun for me to look out and see my props everywhere. I'm really happy they're not stored in my attic. All right. So you're going to lay down so that you can just rest here for a minute. This is Shalabhasana. It's like a cobra. So we leave the hips down. We leave the legs down. We're going to use our arms by the side, maybe just a little bit below the breast area. Elbows are going to be in. The legs stay down. We're going to begin to draw our shoulders back and lift our trunk. Press with your hands. Don't straighten your elbows the first time, but pull with your hands to pull your trunk forward and lengthen your neck so that you look straight ahead and breathe. Then come down and rest. So you may feel a little tightness in your back. We're going to hope that that gets better as we go along. Let's go again. Keep the forehead down, elbows in. So we'll pull your shoulders back and down. Press with your hands first to lift yourself up, and maybe you can come a little higher this time. Pubis is down. Draw your shoulders back and pull with your hands to draw your chest forward. And look up a little bit, not throw your head back. But just have that intention of raising your upper body up more. And breathe. And come down. And rest. All right, last one. Bring your hands back. Now, each time you do a posture, you want to always investigate and see if you've created a little more room for yourself to move. So as we go through these today, it's not to force yourself, but to take advantage of space that you've created. Okay? So forehead down, shoulders back, push the floor. See if you can come up more, keep the pubis down, draw your chest forward and take your head back a little more. Keep breathing. And then come down. And just rest a minute. All right. Now then, we're going to stretch our legs a little bit. So come up on your elbows, on your forearms. Take, I'm not going to mirror right now. You're going to take your left arm across your body and up under your chest. Bend your right knee. Reach back and find that foot. Keep the left leg down. If that's going all right, you start pulling that foot toward the floor and you turn your hand so that the fingers point forward. Roll your trunk back to straight. Chest is forward and lift it. Lift your head and breathe. Press that foot down and breathe. And then slowly release that. Join your feet. Now then your right arm, your forearm is across and elbow is pretty much under your shoulder, maybe a little bit ahead. Bend the left leg, find the foot, pull it towards you as much as you can. Some of you are going to just really be happy to find your foot. That is fine. Hang on to your foot and just turn your chest back to forward. If you can take it a little further, pull your foot down, turn your fingers forward, and then turn your trunk back. And lift your head. Look straight ahead. And release that. This is a very appropriate pose for right now. The name of this pose is Bakasana. Bakasana means frog pose. And if you looked in puddles anywhere around you, you'll notice there's a lot of tadpoles turning into little baby frogs right now. So we're doing that in honor of all those little toads, little frogs. All right, left hand across. Lift up, grab your right foot. Lift your shoulder. You let this really take this moment. You can really get a nice stretch through the armpit, the chest. And then once that has settled, turn your fingers forward and push down. Lift your chest up, look forward, and breathe. And then release that, nice and easy. Take a moment, take a breath. And let's go to the other side. Start with your feet together. Now is a good time to think about where is the flesh of your thigh. So as we do this next, the next one especially, it's important to find the center of the flesh of the thigh. And so adjust that so you have a good base. All right, gonna bend the left leg, hold on, grab it with the left hand, extend the right leg, just keep it in line, don't let it go flying all over the room. Lift up and really feel it stretch through your chest. Take some breaths. So truly, if this is as far as you can get with this pose, draw that shoulder blade back, open up your chest and feel that nice stretch across there. And you can enhance that by turning your chest more toward the floor. If you can push your foot down and turn your fingers forward, then you get a twofer. Keep breathing. Look ahead. All right. Let's rest a minute. All right, now we're going to do one more in this position. Probably take your glasses off again because we're going to put our forehead on the floor, feet together, legs pressing the floor, pubis down, sacrum down. Bring your arms to your side, palms up, and put your head on the floor. In this first, we are going to raise our arms and our chest. We're going to keep our legs down. Keep your legs down and together. So take an exhale. Inhale, firm your base, your legs, pubis, and lift your arms, lift your chest, and look straight ahead. And breathe. I know that's not easy. And come down. And you can rest on your heads. Okay, let's go again. Hands by your side. forehead down. Feet together. Take an inhale. Press down. Sacrum, thighs extend. Think about the legs as you inhale. Lift your arms, lift your trunk, and breathe. And come down. And rest. Now we're going to do the lift on the bottom side. We're going to lift our legs. So in this case, we want to again engage that tailbone so that the hips stay level and there's a strength and connection to the trunk. Okay. You can take your hands by your side, forehead down. We'll inhale. Exhale, keep your legs straight and lift. Shoulders stretch down. And come down and rest. Once again, I'm going to watch. Okay, hands by arms by your side. Inhale. Exhale, lift your arms, lift your legs, keep the trunk down. Arms, stretch your arms back, but lift your legs. Keep your trunk down. And rest. All right, this time, we're going to do both. We're going to lift the arms and the legs at the same time. So forehead down. Think about the strength of the pelvic area. Firm that area. Take an inhale. Exhale, lift everything. Arms, legs, trunk. Up. Up. Extend, extend. And come down. One more. Forehead down. Feet together. Inhale. Exhale, lift everything. Firm pelvis. Up, up, up. And come down. And just so we don't waste a moment here, we've spent some time. See if we can grab both ankles. Start with your knees together, forehead down, shoulders back. As you inhale, start pulling with your legs. As you exhale, increase. Up, 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 resting on the abdomen. Let the legs pull. This is Urdhva Dhanurasana. upward bow, and come down and rest. Last one. Start with your knees together. Your knees will come apart a little bit, but we don't want them to splay. If you can just reach back and get your ankles, you still win, okay? Let's take an inhale. Pull with your legs, lift your chest a bit, exhale all the way up. And down. And then push yourself back into Virasana. And again, if you need some extra support there, you can put a blanket behind your knees, a block on the floor, whatever you might need close. Nice. And you remember you can, if your ankles pain you, you can, for something quick, if you have the room, you can just double up this edge of your blanket, make a little small tuck there, and it may be enough. You may need a little bit more, but support yourself here and sit tall. Now, I don't know about you, but I find that series very energizing. My heart rate goes up and my body is all ready to do something. It's all excited. But my mind is not racing. And that is that what we practice in order to maintain the quiet, steady mind, even in challenging poses. To maintain awareness of breath, even in challenging poses. Bring your arms to the side, palms up. Let's interlace the fingers. Revolve the palms to the ceiling. Now, before you fully straighten your arms, think about your sit bones and your tailbone. So engage the lower abdomen, firm up and secure your pelvis, and then fully stretch your arms, drawing the front rib cage inward, and breathe. And then come down, not fully, just partway down. Change the interlock of your fingers. Put them right on top of your head. Engage the pelvic muscle so that you have a stability and an alignment there. Maintaining that vertical alignment. Begin to straighten your arms, and from your bones, pelvis through your trunk. Let that action go through your trunk, not to the surface, but deep inside. Up, up, up. And then soften all the ribs and breathe. And then come down. And rest. All right. So now, Just come out and sit with your legs straight for a moment. You can sit on a blanket or not, as you choose. But be sure the skin is pulled back, this flesh from the upper thigh through the hip. Join your big toes, spread all the toes. Draw your kneecaps back and up. Sit bones, look for the floor. So the tailbone moves in and up, pubis bone in and up. Lift up to your trunk and let your shoulders move down and back. So notice that action. When I'm busy lifting up in my trunk, my shoulders are sort of riding along with that action. I don't have a problem with that because I know it's what I'm doing and it helps me lift more. I maintain the lift and the shoulders go back and down. Oh, my head is forward though, so I've got to pull my head back and breathe. As you practice yoga, one of the benefits is more knowledge, more sensitivity to yourself, physically and mentally, emotionally. And through practice, you gain tools to help yourself. No matter what the affliction, yoga will help. All right. Now then, grab your strap. Sure there's room on either side of you because we're going to lay down and stick our leg up in the air and then pull it to one side and pull it to the other. So make sure that if you need to move a little further into something, and make a big loop in your strap. And then we're going to lay down. You don't need a blanket for your head. You may have one, but you don't need one. Don't make it too tall though, just a slight padding. All right. So then we're going to lay down. You can have your knees bent to start. So adjust your hips so that they seem like there's a little extension there. Adjust your shoulder blades so that they are flat on the floor underneath you, and your chest may feel a little artificially lifted as it does when we go to Shavasana too. If you remember in Shavasana, when we do this, it feels like your chest is really lifting up there. But as you settle into it, it feels proper. So you'll find that here too. Get your head on straight, and then one leg at a time, extend. And take a moment to really push through your heel, pull your toes back, spread them out, make sure the ball of the big toe is pressing forward. And then extend your other leg and do the same. Really extend it, pull the toes back, heel forward. Really extend it, and then what happened? Did your abdomen, did your back arch up to help that? All right, notice that if it did. And keep your legs extended now and lengthen the spine again. Let the abdomen be drawn inward, not from the action in the front, but by extending the back, lengthening in the low back area. This really is a good technique for getting the legs, especially the back of the thighs, a little closer to the floor. So you might try that again. Again, just pick up one leg, take that heel a little further, and then set it back down and make it firm. Do the other. Let that lumbar come up a little bit. It'll help you get your legs further down. See if you can press your top thighs into the floor. Can you keep that now and lengthen that lumbar so the abdomen lengthens upward And the spine lengthens downward. All a good thing. See that your shoulder blades are still settled. This should feel, although it's something that we've installed in ourselves, so it's something we've made, it should feel balanced, and the energy of this, the actions of this flow freely and easily through your body. That there's some connection of awareness. And as you stay, you may be able to adjust again for a little bit better setup. Really contract the front thighs down so that the back of your thigh moves toward the floor. It's not all on your pelvis arching. It's the muscles of the leg that have to do part of that work. Now, can you keep this left thigh down as you draw your right heel in toward your hip and bend your knee? Can you again reaffirm the left thigh down? Now, when we go to put the belt on our foot, it gets a little chaotic. So be ready for that. And you want to have the buckle on your belt about halfway down one length of it. So it's not going to be in your hand and it's not going to be on your foot. Think about your left thigh stability. Make a little sit up. Bend that knee in. Left thigh stability. Bring that belt. And then hold the ends and straighten your right leg and stretch that left thigh down again. Well, it may or may not go down as far as it did, but still tighten the top thigh and get your leg perpendicular to the floor. For me, at least, that's further away from my face than I think it should be. Make sure that you can feel the weight of the leg, the firmness of that bone, all the way down through the hip. If you let your foot go further from your face, you can notice how that sensation moves further down the hip. And if you pull the leg down closer to your face, you can feel that contact with the floor moving up toward your waist. Can you keep the left leg down? So go back to a vertical. Keep the left leg down, tighten up that thigh muscle. That's called a quadricep. Keep your awareness on that left leg as you draw the right leg toward you. And then bring it back to a more neutral position and put the strap, both ends of your strap, in your right hand. You can put your left hand on your left thigh. There's option here. You can put your left hand on your left thigh, which can also be helpful when you're doing this pulling. So once again, with your left hand on your left thigh, make sure that your thigh is down and that the muscle is firm, and then be pulling your right foot towards you. Lifting your elbow will help. And make that back to neutral. So you can either leave your hand there or take it to the side. We're going to take the right leg to the right. Make the left leg firm. Hold your strap. Begin to take that right leg to the right. Now you will want to get closer to your foot as you take the leg to the side. When you get about halfway down, you'll notice that the hip, there's a sort of an edge to the hip. And if you don't do something about that edge, then you really don't have a choice but to roll over it and the other hip comes up. So when you get about halfway down, you're going to start drawing this thigh bone deep into the socket. Draw that hip flesh deeper in to smooth out that edge. Roll all of the abdomen to the left, the ribs to the left, the shoulders to the left. Lift the ribs on the right side. Keep the left leg stretching and breathe. And then draw that leg up. Take a moment. You're going to switch your hands. You're going to hold the belt now with your left hand. The right arm goes on the floor, palm up, shoulder height. We're going to roll this leg to the left. We're going to let that left leg go with us so we can rest on the little toe side of the left foot. We're going to roll up onto the left hip. We're going to take the leg until it is hip height and parallel to the floor. And we are then going to turn our trunk, and you may need to use your left elbow for a moment to release the trunk around so that the trunk can roll back to the right. Keep pulling that right leg up, stretching the left leg straight. And you should have a very excited upper, outer, right hip and thigh. And breathe. Then roll yourself back up to center. You will probably then need to do a little adjusting to get yourself straight again. Hold with your right hand. Push the ball of that right foot toward the ceiling. Left leg is active and straight to the ceiling. Shrug your right shoulder down toward the floor. Bend that elbow out to the side. Stretch the left leg down and pull that right leg toward your head. Slowly release that. Release your foot. Place that foot on the floor. Put your bend the left knee, left foot on the floor. Adjust your hips, shoulders. Put the belt in your left hand. And take a moment. And breathe. Now then, see that you're centered on the hips. Shoulder blades are down. Neck is long. We're going to stretch the right leg out. Pressing forward with the heel and pulling back with the toes. Drawing that kneecap up. Descending the thigh. So allow your back to arch a little bit. See if you can get the back of that thigh closer to the floor. Maybe you can get it to the floor. If I arch my back enough, I can get the back thigh on the floor, just barely. Now, can we keep that? And slowly and carefully lengthen the back body. It's like the tailbone goes down, the abdomen goes up. Back body lengthens, front body shortens a little. And then arch up again. See if you can find the floor again with that back thigh. Draw your kneecap up, toes up. And then again, lengthen the low back area. Shorten the abdominal front. Perhaps you did a little better on the second try. It reinforces the value of practice. So then, can you just simply bring your left knee up without the strap and keep the right thigh down? Then, keep your mind on the right thigh. Do a little sit-up. Lasso your foot. Lay back down. Hold the ends of your strap. Adjust your body again so that you're straight. Adjust your right leg again. You can arch up, extend it. Get that back thigh. If it's not to the floor at this point, well, don't be too surprised, but make your best effort there. You know that it's now better than it was. And can you keep it there as you lengthen the back, shorten the front, shoulders are down, neck is long, and breathe. Keep awareness on your right leg now. Bend your elbows to the side and bring your left leg toward your head. Straight leg, pulling it toward your head. This is where negotiation comes in handy. If my only goal is to get my leg closer to my head, well, I can get it a lot closer if I don't have to keep my thigh down. Whoa, it can go a long way, right? But I keep my thigh down. And so there it is. We have to negotiate because there are two criteria that we're working with. We have to have both. Now then, you're going to take the belt in your left hand, hold this close to your foot as you can, right arm on the floor, right leg at attention, thigh down. You're going to bring that left leg to the left. Be alert, first of all, to the right leg, wanting to help by coming off the floor, and then to the little edge of the hip that you're bound to run into. So at that point, you have to draw that left thigh into the socket very, very firmly so that you can continue without tipping over. Once you've reached your maximum here, then begin to roll your trunk back to the right, roll the abdominal muscles, the trunk muscles, all back to the right so that your trunk faces the ceiling and your leg is stretching out. With that femur bone firmly encased in the hip socket. And bring that back up. And pause. Put the belt in your right hand. Left arm on the floor. Roll onto your right hip. Let your hip roll over and your foot roll over until your leg is parallel to the floor and extending outward. Roll your trunk back to the left. Breathe. This should be exciting on that outer hip, on the left hip. left thigh. And bring that back up. Hold with both hands. Get yourself straight again. Straighten up your right leg. Arch your back. Let that back thigh go down. Lengthen your trunk. Shoulder blades in. Pull your foot towards your head. Bend your elbows out to the side and lift your elbows. It really does help that leg come along. And then release. Bring your leg down, put your foot on the floor, and just rest for a moment. Bend your right knee, foot on the floor. So both knees are bent, both feet are on the floor. Take some nice long breaths. Notice if there's a difference in feeling between the legs. They were doing different actions. Then you can pick up both knees. I know everybody loves to hug their knees after this, so just hug our knees for a minute. Shoulders down. And then release that. Roll on your right side and sit up. That is always exciting, isn't it? There's so much to do there. So many things going in so many different directions. Now I want us to work with breath. I've managed to leave about 10 minutes for us to work with breath because we started a little late. And I know when Justin edits it, it will edit out all of our educational commentary on butterflies. But nevertheless, we're going to lay down. And so you've got your bolster. Push your bolster. See how mine is past the end of my mat? Because I want my feet to end up on the mat. Then you're going to put, you can take your blanket, you can fold it in half this way. And really it's your preference which end you put your head on. It would not be, well, it could be these ends, but if you feel you need a little more under your neck here, you can use this folded edge. If you feel you want to have a little, you want your head to be tipped down a bit. Then we're going to sit in front of the bolster. Now, before we go anywhere, let me just explain what I've got in mind. I want us to experiment today with our breath. We're going to go in two different types of breath. The first breath I'm going to ask you to experiment with is what we would think of as our normal breathing. When we breathe normally, typically our abdomen will expand on the inhale and retract on the exhale. And we'll experiment with that when we lay down. In addition to that, we can, by thinking and imagining, direct that breath to different parts of our body. So we're going to work on expanding the front, then the back, and then the whole thing. We won't be too long in each one, but we just want to experiment. You can take this again on your own. Then we're going to experiment with more of the Iyengar style of breathing, which is when you inhale, the stomach broadens. And when you exhale, it softens in. The inhales may be the more unusual for you if you're very accustomed to breathing in the first way. That's fine. That's why you came in it, to learn something new. So sit in front, and by all means, don't struggle with this. Never ever struggle with your breathing. Ask it for something, have an intention of doing something, and see what happens. All right, breath is a very delicate thing, and it's a very powerful thing. And so we want to treat it with not only tenderness, but with respect. So sit in front of your bolster. Remember that you want this bolster to hit you right about where the lower ribs start, where the kidney area is. Lift yourself, lay yourself back and test your edge. You may have to adjust a tiny bit. Lift yourself up. Yes, there's my edge. Hope you found yours. Lay yourself back so there's a firmness. And then you're going to adjust your blanket under your head. And then you're going to just decide, and if you're really centered on your bolster, a good way to check is your shoulders. Do your shoulders relax off of that bolster evenly? That could be a fault of the shoulder itself. If you know you have an injury, take that into consideration. And the same with the sides of the body, particularly I'm more sensitive to it in the waist area, but wherever you can sense the sides of your body, are you straight on your bolster? Your feet should be joined, shoulder blades tucked, chest lifted. When you are satisfied that you're in a pretty good position, then let your eyes soften and recede as the eyelids softly close over them. And let the temples beside your eyes, the outer corners, soften. And the place in between your eyebrows, soften. All of the head, scalp, soften. Cheeks and jaw soften. Lips touching, teeth slightly separated. Tongue relaxes back in the mouth. Observe yourself there and notice how that is happening. If you have certain habits with any part of that, you may notice those habits coming back right away. This is a good way to work on those habits. And then allow your awareness to consider the back of your head and neck to see that there's some extension in the neck so that the chin is at least parallel. The face, the plane of the face is parallel, the chin slightly down. If you feel you need a little bit more lift there, you can install it next time. For now, let's just continue. We all have our own preferences. Let's let the shoulders soften down and let the legs relax if they haven't already. And extend and release them once or twice. And let the belly soften Feel the hips on the floor. And begin to notice how you're breathing right now. Don't do anything about it, just notice. And as we go through this, if you're experiencing something other than what I'm describing, please do not think there's something wrong with you. We are all a little bit different. And it's all fine. Just observe, notice how it is. And so let your next inhale be just a little bit bigger and notice how it is. Where do you feel the movement of that breath? In your belly, in your chest. What do your ribs do? What does the sternum do? And as you exhale, what happens? You can do that one more time. Notice what happens as you inhale. And exhale. Now, to help us be a little bit more aware of that, we're going to place our hands on our belly. We're up on a higher, it depends on your size. I think next time I practice this, I'm going to be on a lower lift so my fingers can come closer together. But for now, we can still feel how the belly moves. For most people, as you inhale, the action of the abdomen is central, and the movement of the breath is central. The ribs may or may not move, but ideally, the ribs will move gently from the bottom to the top as you inhale. Now see what could happen if you instructed your breath to move in the same way, but along the back body, along your spine. Take a few breaths in that way. Notice what happened in the belly. Notice what happened in the ribs. Notice what happened in your mind. Using the back of the body. And when you finish that last round, just go back to a normal breath for now. So now, let's experiment with a more lateral type of breath. And by that, I mean that as we inhale, we will inhale and the belly and the ribs will expand out to the side rather than front and back. The emphasis will be more on broadening the breath and keeping that broadness and lift as we come up. All right. So in this breath, as you inhale, the belly will recede a bit. So let's get started with that. Just inhale and imagine, those sliding doors on closets that we have sometimes. Let that breath expand out into your hands and then up the sides of the rib cage and feel the ribs lift. As you exhale, let the belly relax inward. As you inhale, and please breathe at your own rate. Let that belly stretch out to the sides. And as you exhale, let it relax inward. Particularly if this is a new experience for you, keep focusing just on the action of the belly for a few more times. So it turns out that in order to experience, particularly the exhale of the sides of the belly simply moving toward one another and then going upward, we have to maintain a little lift in our chest. So this time, as you inhale again, let the belly spread to the sides and feel that inhale coming up the side ribs, lifting them individually up, 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 up under your armpits. Then maintain a little of that lift as you exhale and let the breath go from the bottom ribs to the top. And maintain the lift at the top. It's not strong or harsh, it's there, it's an intention. Inhaling, when you inhale, then you have a space all ready for you. That idea of spreading the breath and maintaining the lift, the expansiveness as you exhale. And then one more time, inhaling and exhaling at your own rate. And after you've exhaled, then return to normal breathing. Relax your hands on the floor for a moment and just experience this moment. Observe what happened and how you're feeling now. Now bend your knees. You're going to roll onto your right side, remembering that you're probably up on a bolster. Support yourself as you roll over and rest there with your knees bent for just a moment. Eyes closed, just enjoying this transitional moment. And now, roll your chest forward, your left hand on the floor, your right hand on the floor. Push yourself up to a sitting position. And then sit tall. Draw yourself up in a nice even way so that it's not just the front that comes up. It's the whole trunk that comes up. Rest your shoulders down, neck long, head back. Sit for just a moment, experience that. Join your palms, the thumb side of the palms at the lower sternum. Lift that skin. Let the top of the shoulders roll back and down. Maintaining the lift of your chest, bow your head for a moment in gratitude for all the blessings of our life. Namaste. Thank you all for coming.